Hello everyone, this is the second video for lab number 8. So in the previous video, we show how we can read or load the data file, load the data and then turn this into the text as well as turn it into the arrays of the data when you can reference to each array by using this syntax. Now the next thing we want to do is once we get each lines of text like this, what we want to do is to turn this into the objects. Well, in order to separate this, as you can see, each lines of course have the comma, okay, to separate each column. So to extract each column, then we're gonna have to use another command here. So the commands that you can use is data I, because we know that data I is basically the string. For each element is belong to the string. Okay, but for the array itself, this is the array of the string. So that means for each element that belong to string, and for any things that belong to string type, there is one command for you to use, dot split. So this is the command that allows us to split the text data using the splitter. So splitter in this case is we want to split, use the splitter as comma, so we can have array of this. So as you can see, after the split, we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 elements. So we want to keep this as the array. So if that's the case, we want to create another array here as the data. We already used data. Let me use this as persons equal to this. Okay, so now what we could do is, before we go further, allow me to show out each data. So persons I right here. So after the split, I believe that this is already I, so we're gonna have to use another loop. Well, before that, let me show you. Okay, what is the first element of each one? So right now, if I run this, you have to enter the splitter here, which is comma in our case. So now, as you can see, it shows the first column for each element in the array of the original one here. So we have 11 different lines. The first line, the first element is question set. If you look at this, okay, question set. And then the first element for this array is 1, 2, 3, and so on. So now that is how to reference to the first element after the split. Okay. Now, what we want to do is to turn out this into information. So let's have string person. Sorry, we know that the first one will be the set. So set equal to set number equal to person at position 0, which is the first element. And then string, the second column is person name. The next is the gender. So name equal to person at the first columns. String gender equal to persons, the second elements, and so on. So as you can see, we have what else? Education, income, and year of experience. So education, income, years of experience, which is on the sixth element. And then we have answer 1, answer 2, and answer 3. So right here we put string and let me put a and s1 equal to person 6, and then duplicate this for 2 times. Control I, change this to be 7, and that this is become 2 and 3. Now those will be the raw data for each column. Imagine that by using this for loop, okay, it's going to give us each lines of the data, okay, because what we want to do is to get the data from the starting from this row, so we should ignore the first row here. So is that the case? So I should be start from 1, not 0, because 0 is the first line and 1 is the second line. And then after you have this data, what we need to do is to create the objects. So we're gonna have, for example, questionnaire object. Let's call it O equal to new questionnaire. and then we are going to put those data inside this parentheses. You might have question about we haven't defined the questionnaire class yet. We are going to do this within a couple minutes. But now let's put this information in. So set number, names, gender, educations, income, years, answer 1, answer 2, and answer 3. Alright, so here, in order to support this class, we need to create a new class that contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 9 information. And we're gonna need the constructor for this as well. So let's go ahead and let's put this. Let me copy this. Well, we better copy this name because the name should be exactly the same as the new class that we are going to create it here. So add new items class, name this as Questionnaire CS, and then we're gonna put the comment for this and empty constructors in class in project or namespace. So inside this is going to be the information declaration. So we need for each one semicolon. Okay, and then we put the public in font for each of the lines here. So Control C, V. Okay, Control I one more time, and then we create the constructor for this by placing alternate insert on the keyboard and select all of the required information. So in this case, we want to have the constructor that initialize all the information here. Alright, so this is our constructors, and that should match our usage right here. So now, just to summarize what we just did, we provide the class information to support 9 different information. We have the constructors for object creations, and then we first load the data as the array. So the elements of this array represent each line of this. Now, and then we do the looping. Then we ignore the first line because this is not the actual data. It's just the column name. So we start with 1 instead of 0. So here 1 throughout the range, which is going to loop through the end of this array here. For each element of the array would be the text that you can split it out using the comma as the splitter. So after the split, we have 9 different elements that represent question set, person names, gender, and so on. And that could be the split is done right here. As you can see, the split gives you the array, so you can reference to each array item by using this syntax. Okay, so after the split, after you got all the basics data here, we put it as the input parameter for, okay, let me change this as this is name. Okay, for the object creations. And after the object creation, then the next thing we should do is to push these objects inside the collections. Alright, so here let's recreate another collection to hold questionnaire. Let's call it list1 equal to list of questionnaire. Then right click on the list to import this library. So now the system understands who is the list. Right here at this moment, after the object got created, then we push the object into the collection by calling the collection name dot add and then 0 Now you might have question about reusing of the object name variable here. This is valid because every time you do the looping, this will be newly created. This also created on the file. That means every time the loop is working, is pick up the object for you, element for you. You create these objects every time, so it's become the different object memories locations. So the name, you can use the same name in this case and then put it in the collection. So after this loop, we got one collection that hold um, object for 10 different persons. And I would say questionnaire, not person, because that is the questionnaire that answered by that particular person. Okay, so after this, you can, for example, do the for each loop. And for the for each, we say that we're gonna do every time we do the looping, we got the questionnaire object as the output. Let me call OO in list one. And then you can print out the name of who answered this questionnaire. All right, OO dot name. Okay, so now that will give us the output of the name of person, 10 different names who answer questionnaire. Now imagine that if, okay, we want to find out, because I think we have information about the income, as I guess, yes. So we want to find the, for example, the average income. So here to find the average income, we set up double AVG equal to 0. And then we find out the average by finding OO plus, sorry, AVG plus OO dot income. So this we keep pulling the data from each person, and by the end of the loop, then we find out the average, the actual average by average divided by list one and number of people, so divided by count. Then you can console line average income is plus. Okay, so now if you run the project, it's going to say that this string, oh sorry, I keep everything as string, which is wrong. So let me go back right here, and what we want to do is we're gonna have to turn, if you keep everything as string, then you need to have to convert this by yourself. So in this case, everything is keep as string. There are two ways of doing this. Keep everything as string, but then for actual computations, then you have to turn this into the number by using double dot pers dot income. Then you don't have to change the data type right here. So now you can keep string for all of them, and then this function will turn text into number. And this would give us that the average income for 10 different persons is this number. Alright, and we also learned that this is the fragment of code that you create in the main function or in the program class. You can split or you can create another class and hold this function for you. So in this case, what we are going to do is we are going to create a new class. Let me call helper class. This helper class will have the functions public void find average income, and then it's take one input information, which is the list of questionnaire. So we call list one right here. This is an of functions. Then make the compilation and click on this to import this collections. And after that, you can move the code right here. This highlight, take it off, and then put it right here. So this function, what it does is take this as list one. You can change the name if you like, because this reference to the input data in a way you can use just like parameter one here. Then you change this as parameter one. Okay, so once we have the class, the next thing we could do is we go back here, we create the objects belong to this class. Let me call helper1 equal to new helper. And let the helper1 call the function find average for you. So now, alright, helper1 does list one is not, oh sorry. And then also when you call these functions, you cannot leave the input empty, because we specify that here the function signature for us, the input is take one input parameter as the list of questionnaire. So when you actually call this function, you have to pass this collection in. Okay, and list one does not exist in current context. Let me see if I pass. This is list one. Okay, list one is here. Okay, this is the end of main. This is end of main functions, and it doesn't allow me to reference to list one. Let me check this one more time. They say list one does not exist in current context. We create the list one right here. List of questionnaire list one. Let's run this one more time. Oh, the error is because of this, not that. So here, because we renamed this as the parameter one, so let's put parameter one right here. So now this should fix our problem. Yes, you can see now with the helper class in the main program, it's a lot cleaner. As you can see now, that is a lot cleaner. Okay, so we are going to cover more about this in the next video tutorial. Thank you for watching.